Hey
Dr.
there,
Sanderson, what's
how
up?
are you?
It's good to see you.
You got enough meat here for him? Meat?
I will call our meeting to order for November 18th, the Bond Oversight Committee. If you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Grimes will lead us in invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, thank you for gathering us here tonight. Thank you for traveling safely. Thank you for all the participants here today that are willing to give their time to make betterment for our children and our community, Lord. Thank you for our school district, its leaders, as they educate our children and our next generation, Lord. Thank you for the architects and the hands and the feet of the contractors that build it. May their glory come to you, Lord. Just watch over us all as we travel this evening. Be with our families as we go through Thanksgiving, and give all the thanks to you. In your name, amen.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
Good job.
First item of business is approval of the minutes from our last meeting, September 17th. They're in your packet.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the minutes unless someone has a correction or addition or
I have a correction.
Okay,
In the last meeting, we agreed and were told we get provided a total cost summary.
is that in the minutes?
There should be.
It is in the, it's in the minutes.
What is?
We're asking for corrections.
Oh, I thought it was, is that in the minutes? I see
It's
it.
in the minutes. I'm looking at it.
Okay, tell me where it is.
Third line from the bottom of the first paragraph.
First paragraph.
He was
Underneath
requesting,
opening.
it says that you requested it in June
Thank you.
and then requested it again.
I just missed it.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
so no
I have
correction.
corrections.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Andy. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. I know one participant needs to get out pretty quick. You want to go first? Who had it? Softball. Yeah. There we go. So we're going to go with some project updates first. We have lots of stuff in our packet, so you can start wherever you tell us.
Okay, no, well, I'm just here to give an update a little bit with the Palaca Intermediate. Things are just closing out. We, turning over all the closeout documents, just a few, final little things. There's, one been back order on some, wall coverings for the soffits, and it's just been, back order. And, I hate to sit there and tell you it'll be in, the next 20 days like they've told me, because they told me that 40 days ago. So, every time it just keeps pushing back. So, but that we have that. There's a few little things I think that we're working out with Thomas Travis with adding some security cameras and doing things like that you see that's, in the contingency log. And outside that, everything's just cleaned up and, ready for you guys to move in.
So the furniture is in, basically?
Yeah, all the closeout surveying's done.
Furniture.
Oh, furniture, no, that's
That's the school.
that's the school does that. That's not part of our contract.
That's a
How about the covered play area?
So we had to wait for the ponds to finally dry out, and this week we actually had the borings done to see if those ponds are going to be sufficient enough for the covered playground area. So we're still in a holding pattern on that. But I think that contingency log, we actually have already kind of accounted for that cost out of contingency in hopes that it is going to be built. And then even with that being put in place, I think we have over $1 million still being returned in contingency.
So you won't be using the whole contingency then, is what I hear you saying?
No, I don't believe so.
Just want to comment that this is a very important time for this committee because we're closing out this contract. Very important that we look that over carefully. I sent 3 questions. As you know, these contracts are cost contracts. And I sent 3 questions into Alice. And
Four
questions.
questions.
Yeah.
4
I
questions.
turned in 4. One was the original question. But I got a very quick and good summary from Austin.
And that is
Okay.
on your table. It's a packet. It has a copy of Dr. Hunter's question.
And I can summarize, they don't match the summary we have here. We have.
Well, ours also gets more current. Ours is completely to
Right.
date as
Yeah,
of
this is current.
last week, so.
The summary is, doesn't have the contingency properly accounted for, and the general conditions. The three questions were, how'd the contracts do, subcontract? And we got a summary of all those contracts by name, and they included actually what they paid to the contractor minus the material cost and the tax on material cost. That was accounted for in a different summary place. But you can scan down that and see how much each contractor was paid. And then you add to that the material cost, and you get pretty much everything right on track. Secondly, the contingency, there's a log of contingency which starts at the beginning, goes all the way through of all contingency actions, and that ended up with about $1 million plus in contingency. And the other general conditions, which are the general construction manager's costs of work they actually do. And that was actually less than the amount that was in the GMP. So the bottom line is there's probably, tell me if I got this wrong, Todd, but basically there's about $4 million under, is that right? Am I right on this?
Yeah, complete from what we had for the guaranteed maximum price.
From the GMP, it's about $4 million in total.
Less.
General conditions are less, which, they're costs, we pay the cost. Contingency's less, and then there's some odds and ends, and the net effect is.
And some of that was built in. We had allowances that were part of that,
Didn't get used.
didn't get used at all.
Yeah, the modified cost was 56 something.
Right.
So bottom line is, if you look over all those facts about the three things that matter, my judgment is we're in pretty good shape on that.
That was my next question. How do you feel about it?
I feel good about it. It's a comprehensive summary. On contingency, there's always the danger that if you go crazy on contingency, both parties could go crazy. It didn't look like it. And then the general conditions came in under, that means there wasn't that much work that has to be done.
I have a question.
Ms. Stanley?
CRA gets paid by a percentage of the GMP, is that right? So if we.
Now the GMP of the actual cost.
Of the actual cost?
We don't pay the GMP, we pay the actual cost. That's what they get a percentage of.
Okay. I submitted a question about how much CRA has been paid to find out, and I haven't gotten an answer.
It's on
To
here.
make sure that we weren't
It's in
paying
front of you.
for a
Amy.
higher estimate.
It's here.
It's
She's
here.
right, though.
All your information's right.
Is it total?
They passed it out right at the
Yeah, but
beginning.
is it total?
The total? Yes.
It is, it has a total? Okay.
Yeah, come on up. Yeah, Ms. Stanley also asked a question
Well-
of total CRA payments, and that's also included in your packet.
And actually, I guess I'll turn it over to Greg, but I just want to say thank you guys, and we really have enjoyed working with you guys, and everybody have a great Thanksgiving and happy holidays.
So
I
the,
can't say enough about their response.
Oh,
Those
this-
questions came in, Alice got them last week.
Right after having cataract surgery, so.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, but they got right on them and they got the detailed answers back and with no problem.
Yep, I appreciate that.
That was good on their part.
Okay, I'm here if I need to answer anything about CRA's questions.
Before we do that, can we go back to what Dr. Hunter said? So you said about how much is gonna go back, Dr. Hunter, 4 million?
I think about 4 million. I got so much information, we're trying to find the notes.
And I should probably know the answer to this, but I don't. So where does that 4 million go back to?
It's unspent.
It just wasn't spent
It just stays in the.
It goes back to what budget item and where is it accounted?
in the pool of bond funds,
It goes back in,
just
it goes
wasn't
back in the
spent.
checking account, basically.
So it goes to the next school then that needs it?
essentially.
Okay. That means there'd be a little more.
So that goes back to your questions that you had at the last meeting about unused funds.
Correct.
Thank you.
I know, I want to say I did tour the school. Miss Jones was there with me and it really looks nice. Yeah.
Like,
Yes, I
Yeah.
toured
You'll make
it
it.
as well.
Yeah, that's right. You were.
It's a beautiful facility.
Yeah, it is. I didn't have schools like that when I was growing up. I'm telling you.
I see it from the outside every morning, but I haven't been inside.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Ms. Stanley, did you have questions for Greg?
Not right this second, no.
Okay. Any questions for CRA or Greg at the moment, Dr.
Yeah,
Hunter?
these summaries, always are mysterious. As I just pointed out, the summary we have for Placa Intermediate is not current. It implies that there's $800,000 of contingency left. That's not correct. It's more than that. And it,
No, so actually, I don't want, so some of that, there's line items that we had that we're just trying to clean up our pay application to get 100% out, that we actually moved those access funds up to contingency.
Right.
And so ours is just more up to date than
Yeah.
what,
I
they're
think
probably
it-
going off of what the last.
I think it's a timing question.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
we're
Yeah,
asked
it's just one
a
time.
week early to turn in something, and we call the guys and talk to them, and say, okay, where you at with this, where we at with this today, and we're a week behind.
But the foreman, at this point, the foreman has the GMP as though that has something to do with the cost. It doesn't. If you read this, it looks like we got the GMP minus the material cost of 47, which is not a useful number. to
I
see.
agree. It looks like it
It's not
costs us
terribly useful.
47
It looks
million.
like it's a reduced cost, but it's not.
Right.
But
We
the
didn't
question really
save
is,
$12 million.
what is the cost to date? The GMP, what's the cost to date? And what's the balance of unspent funds?
Which, just for the packet that had, I don't know if you want to look at it, that had Dr. Hunter's question on top, is it the most up-to-date number? The 50,
Yeah, the
56, 4?
56,417.
Yeah, that's.
So-
That-
So that's the number to pay attention to.
And we'll modify the updates going forward to reflect it that way, Dr. Hunter.
What about the others, though? I mean, the question is, it's not terribly important to us to know the GMP and the material costs subtracted. I guess that's material cost to date?
Yes, sir. It's all today.
Not sure what, because Wayne asked the question, what do we tell the public about how much it costs? And it's none of these figures.
It's not the 56 million?
It is now, but it's
It
not.
is, but we just got that today.
We just have that in different, the
But
summary
also-
sheet doesn't have 56.
We're also at the end of the project
Yeah.
too. I mean, again.
Oh, yeah.
You know, until you're complete, you're just not complete. I mean,
Oh,
there's costs that are associated, so I'd love to take all the credit that I looked that great, but it's, I'm actually complete, so. it's-
The answer to this
it's-
question as far as construction would be the total final contract value for the city construction manager plus the overdirect purchase order value.
That's correct.
So that's the final issue.
Yeah, we can go with that.
Yeah, that would be fine, yeah.
Okay.
So the closest thing we have to an ending number right now is the 56,417,000.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Point of
And
order,
that
if I may.
includes the 12 million?
Yeah,
Or-
the 12 is material cost.
Yeah, the 12 was material cost. That was the owner direct purchase. So what the savings was on that was $724,050.
Taxes.
Okay.
Is in tax savings.
Okay.
So that's what you save.
So it's 56 million.
But the
It's
materials, the material costs are in there.
in that?
That's
Okay.
in that number. That's
Okay.
correct.
So,
And actually, just so, so there,
Oh,
I
just a
want to
second,
sit
Tom.
there and say.
Do you want him to go?
yeah.
If you could go up to the
Yeah,
mic, because
one
I
of
know
the-
people online aren't going to be able to hear.
One of the complaints that I've received is when people are talking back here, they can't hear the questions and the answers. So I would ask, Mr. Chairman, if we could, to make sure everybody comes to the mic.
All right, I'm sorry about that. But so, and again, this is the 56 to date. Again, with, the adding of security cameras and other things, there's still going to be some minor cost that comes out of, the general conditions as we still have personnel and things working out there doing some of these last few minute things. So that's not the bottom line number, just so everybody knows. It's pretty darn close. It's pretty close, yeah. You're not far off, so.
So would there be a way, Mr. Chairman? may I?
Yes, sir.
So would there be a way that we could, again, I'm thinking about how we communicate with the public, and I'm certainly not an expert in this, but can we do what I would call a Peter Rapid English sheet on our website that says this is where we are with costs, just so the general public can understand?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, I think you can share what I presented to date
Right.
with it. I mean,
It's on our,
I know, but
Page.
I'd just like to see it in a easy-to-read format of just is what I'm saying. Because it does take, if I didn't have Dr. Hunter, I couldn't go all these through these.
well, unfortunately, I mean, again, you're talking a $60 million project, right? And so there's a lot of line items, there's a lot of costs, there's a lot of variables that, you
There's
know.
one thing they can do. There's one thing you can do, and that, look, been in this business a long time. Under direct purchase is a great thing. It saves you money.
Right.
It's also like voodoo accounting when you're looking at it on a sheet trying to understand,
Yep.
unless you're in the industry.
That's right.
So somebody should be able to. I make our staff keep spreadsheets in-house that don't deal that put this back into the actual total cost of the project.
Okay.
So we can just see it on a more broad scale. They could easily do that for you guys. Take this under direct purchase, deductive change order business out and give people just a simple understanding where the project is. That can happen. It's not that difficult.
Good. Thank
And
you.
and that's what I did on that revision, that revised revision under question number 1, so.
yeah,
Just like to ask, what is athletic equipment?
That's your basketball goals, your paddings, part of things in the gymnasium. Volleyball, I don't know if it has volleyball, I think
The nets,
volleyball,
the
nets,
standards, all of that stuff.
yeah.
Is that able to be spent bond money on that? Or
It's,
is it
it's part of it's part of the,
really technically part of the school? I mean, a basketball goal's not gonna last them, I mean, this thing's gotta be capitalized out at some point, right? I mean, we're not building football fields and all that stuff, because that wasn't part of the bond. I'm just curious if basketball goals at $123,000, is that an eligible expense for,
it's, yes.
okay, I just wanna make
Yes.
sure that we're all on the same page. I just didn't think that would be an eligible expense inside of a construction project would be.
Otherwise, you'd have an
Is that
empty
how much
gym.
Goals cost.
I would hope not. So I was just curious what that was. I just wasn't sure, right? It just kind of stuck out to me. Okay.
Well, I have a question since he said that. So like when you think about things like the window treatments, are those like the blinds?
that's your
or-
blind, yeah, your blinds, yep.
So the design committee wouldn't be,
That Travis.
No, we did add some filming on the windows as well, but
so that wouldn't be considered
Which-
like the furnishings.
No,
because
that-
the
that
design
wasn't-
committee would do that, right? Is that
It's a
right?
it's more of a safety feature is what was just added.
So
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Good question.
I see another hand.
I have a question. I haven't had the chance to look through this, but the total on this packet that is in answer to my question, what has been paid to CRA, at the end of it, it says 11.5 million. Is that how much was paid to CRA?
Did you say that's not an answer to your question?
No, it's in the packet that is an answer to my
Right.
question, but I'm looking at the bottom line. That's 11.5 million.
So if you go to the next page, page 7, for our project, it's actually 7.6 million. There's 3.8 million that was spent on special facility, which is the high school in Crescent City.
Oh,
And then if you go further, that's contingency.
okay, so CRA got 7.6 million?
Right.
Yeah, it should be on the next page.
Yeah, that's the next page.
And is that included in the 56 million total cost?
No, it's not.
That's an additional cost.
So, yeah, it's part of the soft cost.
Part of the soft. So what are other soft costs?
But we're supposed to be getting a summary, it was in last meeting, we didn't get it. We're supposed to be getting a summary of total cost, and we did not get it.
Okay, so
So you don't-
56 million is not the total
That's
cost
the
of
starting
this
point.
school.
That's
bricks and
just-
mortar
that's just the-
construction
Everything else,
cost.
bond costs, all that, and that's what we asked for last meeting. We didn't get it.
What else is included in soft costs?
Bond cost, bond cost.
What we pay CRA and what we pay for the
There-
bond.
There's civil engineering, there's furniture, fixtures, and equipment, there's some stuff like that.
Okay. Does anybody know how much that is right now?
Supposed to be getting a summary.
Okay.
And by the way, members of the public asked for that same summary a year ago. Wait for the chair.
Okay.
Is Jonathan online or no?
Soft costs
So-
would include the site too in Crescent
Yeah.
City.
I mean, if you want to go back, I don't know if you have it, but our September meeting has a lot of those soft costs in Jonathan's report, including the financial advisors, the attorney.
Just not all added up at one.
Right. It's all there, it's just a matter of getting it, like I said,
Some
an
of
easy
them
to
are
read.
ongoing costs that they pay a little bit here and there. CRA. Mr. Cameron, question about, I reviewed the CRA contract. There's two contracts. There's the overall support the district contract, and then there's the school in Crescent City. Is that right?
School in Crescent City, the Kelly Smith School that's ongoing now.
Right. So it's not just one school. Those costs were not just one school. What we hope to see is the CRA costs attributable to the Plaquemine Intermediate School. And hopefully someone can break that out. But that contract, I reviewed that, I forgot why, the contract. And the contract's about 4%, is it correct?
Yes.
So the cost would be in the order of 4% of 660, which is about 2.5 or so for that contract, I would guess. That's why it'd be nice to see it.
Okay, we can request it again.
5.5%?
I don't know I don't remember.
That's the architectural fee on the specific projects. I was thinking the design management fee was what you were talking
And
about.
I looked at both of them, and I just can't remember what they were, but they were in the range of 5.
Yes, sir, I don't know exactly standing here tonight.
So that 11 million or whatever it is not attributable to one school.
So fixtures, furniture, and equipment. I think, did you just say that you guys don't handle that, the district puts that in
The
later on?
district puts that in.
But you guys get 3% commission on the cost of that?
Sure do we?
This is a paper we got a long time ago.
Okay,
A&P
then
fees, 5.5%, fixtures, furniture, and equipment, 3%.
that would be our,
Total soft cost,
that would be our interior designer laying everything out.
okay. So that's it.
The bottom line is roughly, as we said 3 years ago, it's roughly about 10%. On top of 56, it's probably another 6 or something in that range. And Crescent City, we had to buy the land, so that happened.
Yeah, on this one it says 8 million.
8?
This is an old estimate, maybe, I'm not really sure.
Well, I'll ask Jonathan to get us
Well,
something better to look at.
yeah.
Yes.
Been deducted,
Yeah, it
that number's
starts
gonna
with
change.
6.
All right, any other questions on Palaca Intermediate? Middleton Bernie?
Just got one
Yes.
question. So at the end of this, we're gonna get what it actually costs to build the school, including what it costs for the bonds, what it costs for the attorneys for the bonds.
That's right.
That's been every meeting we've had
We've had
updates and updates on all of
But
that.
now, don't we have to spread that bond cost over the two schools?
They'll do that.
Oh, absolutely, but I mean, it's still.
How are they gonna
It
figure
still
that?
costs
Oh, you
money,
just
right?
figure
Right.
out, you know the cost of the school, you know how big the bond was, just do
Yeah.
a ratio.
Right.
But I mean, the attorney's fees was for,
You can attribute that.
All the money's in one account. You don't need to attribute attorney's fees
Yeah.
to each of the projects.
that's what I'm saying, too.
It's on the total number of the.
Right, it's
Right.
all in one account.
Right.
All right, Middleton Bernie?
Hey, Jack, you wanna?
All right. Well, again, thank you guys again. Have great holidays.
Is there like an open house party or something?
I don't think we're having the money for that.
Dance around each other for a minute. Thank you for having us again. James Marini with Ajax. He's gonna put some pictures up of the latest aerials so you can see. I'm gonna give a real broad overview, and then I'm gonna turn it over to the guys that actually stay out on the site 12 hours a day to get it done. The financial health, the project is pretty healthy. We're coming up in the mid 70% complete with about 80% use of general conditions and requirements. The substantial completion date is still scheduled to be 2/20, so February 20th. And just as a reminder, substantial completion means the facility can be used for its intended purpose. It does not mean that that's when everybody's going to move in. So the TCO date is going to be around March 2nd. And then move in will be, start in that month as well. So we have final completion is 4/13. Just like every one of the projects, there's always multiple balls in the air. Any additional scopes or anything like that that are discussed will, modify that slightly. But nobody seems to think there's going to be any, of course, issue with there being a pretty easy transition into the fall semester is what we are understanding. Contingency, we have current contingency of $500,000. You don't have to show it, but you can. $500,000 left. We have some potential, we track potential contingency changes. So that's like if something might impact contingency, we track that. And so should those be used, those funds need to be used, we'd be at a current contingency of 229, about 230,000 left. So we still have contingency left to complete the project. Approximately $85,000 in allowances still remain. So that is the kind of bottom line on the project. As far as the financial health, it is currently on budget and on schedule. And I'll turn it over to Justin and Bill for any, well, let me ask you, do you have any questions on that first?
On those?
Yeah, on anything I was saying.
How come we're so far along on contingency? We're not quite close to the finish.
Yeah, I understand.
A lot of contingency.
No, it's a great point. So each project's a little different, right? So this one, we had actually were quite above and ahead on contingency early on in the project. We re-injected some savings that we were able to find, like with our mason, for example, of, I don't know, it's $300,000+. However, there were some things, mostly safety related, like, school safety related. Some of the things I believe changed, like, the requirements might have changed mid, kind of changing horses in the middle of the stream, if you will, as far as safety requirements. So a lot of that did hit contingency pretty hard, which is, at a glance, it sounds bad. Oh, contingency is getting low, but it's good that you had the money in contingency to pay for these things that are required, because otherwise there would have to be true change orders to the GMP, right? True change orders to the contract. So the fact that the contingency fund can absorb these things that had to happen is actually a good thing. So Dr. Hunter, we're glad to take a deep dive with you and show you all the contingency modifications anytime, but
it just seems like we're quite a ways along at using up the contingency comparing the two projects.
You're correct.
And contingency is supposed to be things which were not in the plan, not planned to do.
Correct.
But end up getting done.
Correct.
And the school district has to agree to do them. I assume the process is Thomas and Travis and some meet with them and they go over and they have to reach an agreement. So both parties have to agree on unplanned things. And we seem to have a pretty good total already.
Correct.
The only question is why, not the details, but why are we using so much of it? And is it something about the site that we didn't understand or something about?
A lot of it is security related. So
Unless you want to go through the details, that's going to be the only way to answer that question. I mean, I know there was an issue with the canopies that we talked about last meeting, which was several $100,000.
there was an issue with the canopies. There were also issues, if you will, with the type of glazing, which was a security type thing. Telecom and fire, the audio enhancements was has to do with security. So there was a lot of things, and these are things that, like, had you elected to go with, for example, a general contractor, these would be like big change orders. So instead, they're absorbed, they're reviewed by your construction management team to make sure they're fair, and they're absorbed within the contingency. So it's doing what it's supposed to do. Dr. Hunter's not incorrect that, it's further along than that other project. It wouldn't surprise me that all 3 projects are at different levels of contingency. It's just because each project is just so different. That is my take. Now, the balance of this contingency, I can assure you, is being managed very, very, it's all been managed well, but the balance of it is being managed very closely. We review it at each OAC. We talk about each of these changes. We talk about where they should be funded from. So it's not just willy-nilly, just so you know what's going on.
And I'll say it for the record, I'm a little, not frustrated, a little frustrated in both projects having safety issues, because that should have been caught by someone at the school district well before construction started. That's just my opinion.
Please, Bill, go ahead. Bill.
So if I can speak to that just briefly.
You need to get close to
Oh,
the mic.
Sorry. Bill Elliott, Senior PM with Ajax. Not as by way of excuse, but like the security stuff right now specifically in schools is constantly changing. Like, just as a for instance, there was a level 3 security in the foyer of the school when we started. At some point during the construction process, that got bumped to a level 7. We're not experts on it. We're assuming that's some requirement that the security people understand and said, hey, we need a level 7 here. So that's the type of changes, windows, glass, that sort of thing. So I also will point out, Dr. Hunter, is we're about 76% of the way through our contingency right now, and that's a today number. The project percentage build at this point is about 71%, and that's a month behind. So in reality, we're about equal in contingency in what we've actually spent to build the project so far. We just haven't built it yet. So.
Yeah, the contingency, what's left on one project versus another is a very difficult comparison because, we don't know what percentage or value we started out with one project versus the other. So there's so many variables that we'd have to go through. But Bill makes a great point. And I don't think that necessarily, I understand the frustration, but I don't know that some of that can be seen. Like if a statute changes or something along the way and you basically have to do it, right? You have to do this to get to the security. And that would mean that, like when CRA is designing it initially, that requirement does not exist. So, by nature, it exists part of the way through the construction because it's a long process. So the election is to go ahead and say, okay, well, let's go ahead and implement the safety that's going to be required anyway. So,
Mr. Grimes?
Yes, sir.
So I guess I get confused because most code renditions only come out every couple of years. So we're sitting here midstream changing a code rendition that I think should have got caught during the design phase of these schools. They should have been designed with this safety stuff, but yet the school district has to pay additional dollars for safety stuff that should have been caught early on in the design. State law only gets adopted in July every year, so there wasn't a new thing until July of this year of a state statute coming out for safety. So, it takes, the legislature's got to get through first. So I'd just be curious on why we miss so much in design.
Like Greg's going to address that question.
It was something that wasn't in the code for safety. This was something, we started the school, this is where safety was at that point. It's not per the code. It is that like we come and submit drawings to you guys to look at and review and everything. It wasn't part of that. They got a new safety officer in the district. He came in and we need to do this, this, and this now.
Well, I'll beg to differ. Safety officer's been the same for a while. So, and that's where I think it was missed.
Yeah, I have a concern when you said I understood what Bill said, and that answered part of my question as to why you all didn't at the beginning know what the safety was, what the federal and state laws were requiring safety in schools. Those are set. As J.R. Grimes said, they only change when the legislature changes it in July. And I'm not familiar with any changes to the safety code. Now, I'm sure there have been some. But I still don't understand why all the safety measures weren't put in place in the first place. And the safety officer, fine, the safety officer should be following the state statute and the federal law. that is set in stone. That's what you should be complying with, and I don't understand why you all were given, all of a sudden, you said a level 3 or something, and all of a sudden you got to change to a level 4. That is just plain stupid. It doesn't make any sense, and I don't know who's doing that to you, but I don't think it's right, and I'm just seeing red flags and bells going off all over the place. I'm a little bit familiar with safety, and if safety changes, my gosh, you need to have an Etch-a-Sketch to draw it on. I mean, seriously, I'm really concerned about that.
Well, we had.
No offense to you fellas, because you just did what you were handed, and I went, okay, so today you handed one thing, now tomorrow you're gonna be told something else about safety? What's going on here?
Yes, ma'am. Well,
I mean, there's a huge difference, I mean, because we didn't do the same safety things at the intermediate school we just built, and we didn't have as much change in safety there as we do there, and it's the same safety officer.
But we still had some issues there at the intermediate school as well.
Yeah, but the net effective contingency use was much less.
Right.
That's yeah.
Does anyone, I mean, do you know the difference
That's not all
between?
attributed to safety. There was some.
Can you come up to the mic?
That's good.
No, to answer the first question, there was no new safety officer. We've had the same one all along. There were other major issues there, so we can't say all of this contingency change has gone in the line of safety. There has been some things where some additional glazing were added after the fact on some of the windows and some of the film. Our safety officer and he's. We had a conversation today, and we were talking about the Melrose Intermediate Elementary School, and we were actually talking about security cameras and why we're adding additional security cameras. Because if you look at the Palaca Intermediate School, one of the change orders that's still yet to be done is additional security cameras. So I said, Travis, did you initially go through and look at the security cameras? He said, well, the IT people did, and they're the ones who have always done it. I said, before we pay for these additional security cameras, I want you to walk through and, pull everything up on your laptop and then just kind of physically walk through. And he said, boss, I'm getting used to putting cameras on a diagram where they actually go. And actually, once things are installed, actually going out and seeing things already up and erect. And we had a safety auditor in the district today, and we got 0 audits. I mean, he does a terrific job all the time. But this is undiscovered country for him. We can't all be experts in everything, and that's why we have contingency. And sometimes we do things and say, well, that's good, but we need to bump it up a bit. And some of that is just this when it comes to safety. Outside of the security film, and then I remember the bullet, the rifle grade glass where the up front where the receptionist sits. I remember Travis adding those on after the fact, but outside of that, there was very little. And again, we're trying to get ahead of some of the things that we've learned with lesson learns along the way, but. There were some other issues with the contingency of this particular school that didn't have to do with safety. So,
I'll just make a comment out of just frustration, but Dr. Hunter initially suggested we have a construction manager for the district, and it's been brought up at the school board. We brought it up as a board, but the public cannot accept we're not experts in this field. That is exactly why we have this whole group of people up here, is to be experts. We are not experts at building schools. I can't build a Lincoln log house.
I agree, but these gentlemen are experts in building a school, and when we hire somebody, chances are they're probably going to have a construction background, and the board has basically directed us to do exactly that. And I envision someone having, a college degree, a construction management degree like all these gentlemen have, but they come from various backgrounds, and school construction is.
Let me ask this question. Are we confident that all the safety upgrades that have been added were needed?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And
I think so.
Were they mandated? Or were they just?
Some may not have been mandated, but some were highly recommended by my safety specialist director, just because he does a terrific job, and he's about let's keep students as safe as possible, not let's do what's
Yeah, I have
not
no
as
argument with that.
expensive.
It's the fact of it's coming after the fact, and I meant to do this earlier, and I'll do it real quick, but it was even mentioned at the board meeting yesterday. Our charter is, as this committee, one of the issues is we see everything after the fact. It's always been our argument. We're to review, monitor, and inform the public on planning, progress, and implementation, or as it was put at the board meeting, we're information pushers.
Yes.
So we don't have any
We're not
authority,
advisory.
but we
Fact
certainly have some questions, and the more it gets in the public, the more questions we have, the more we get asked. So that's where this is all coming from, because it's all stuff we're hearing. Yes, ma'am?
For the record, I have no problem with the contractors or any of the workers. What I see as a problem is the mixed information you're getting. You get told one thing today, you get told something else tomorrow. And that's what's causing the issue with contingency and everything else, the way I see it. And I don't think that's particularly, is it illegal? Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. But it's not really good business, I don't think. And I'm not a business person.
So, would it be possible, or I don't know, y'all tell me, for someone independent to look at it from a safety perspective? The only reason why I asked that is because yesterday at the school board meeting, I think it was Ms. Wagner that mentioned that she originally suggested or had someone, like an independent contractor, that she said was willing to review this pro bono, not at any cost to anybody at the school district, to kind of review going through the process from a safety perspective and looking at other things that contractors are familiar with, not me or us. Would that be a possibility? Would that be something that?
I know that at the school board meeting yesterday, it was brought up again. I believe it was tabled till next meeting to have that discussion of having.
I believe we'll be bringing back a job description and actually rolling that out for the board to approve to actually hire someone and go ahead. Sorry.
I will make one comment about that, and I can send Mr. Leary an email. It was in that job description, it was said that it would work on only that they were going to pay for it from bond funds, and that person would oversee schools funded by the bonds. I find it hard to believe that that person's going to be able to do that without being mixed in with the high school and other things on their just daily job routines if they come in. So I'm going to strongly recommend that that is a school district expense and not come from the bonds, but I'll put that in writing. Yes, sir.
Lest we try to draw conclusions without facts, if I recall, the contingency for Crescent City, you have to correct me, was smaller than the contingency in terms of percentage.
I do not know. So contingency is very often between 3% and 5%.
Yeah.
But we had a 3% contingency.
Need to get from the mic.
Sorry, yeah.
So contingency is very often between 3% and 5%. Okay. So our GMP, we were working very hard to make sure that it was within budget as much as possible. If you recall, we put a negative allowance for ODP, and we carried the lower end of 3% on contingency. I do not know what the other projects carried for contingency as far as percentage.
I did a comparison. I did a spreadsheet, which I gave the committee, which compared the contingencies of the two projects from the GMPs. We have that in the record. But I don't have it. But as I remember, you had a smaller percentage than Horseman's Club Road did. Also, on the Horseman's Club Road, the contingency grew because there was a lot of stuff in the subcontracts, odds and ends, allowances for this, allowance for that, which didn't get spent. And they moved it up into contingency. So we got to be sure we don't compare too much about, yes, they did finish a lot under contingency, but we need to examine.
They started with a bigger number.
The real issue is, in my opinion, not about a construction management person. The real issue is there's not a good communication between parties about getting things straight. And the important thing is somebody's looking at contingency. This is an excellent summary that we ever, and somebody on the school district should be looking at and asking these questions. Same with general conditions and all that. That's what the audit said. These things don't appear to be being reviewed. We'll get to that later.
Dr. Hunter, that's pretty common practice, and we have not yet done our analysis for allowances that may have been in subcontractors. We have a log of that. I mean, we don't,
have not shown that yet. I don't know, different CMs may show it at different times, but there may be some additional dollars that go into that. Like Todd was saying, these projects being so large as far as dollar values, there's always a lot of balls in the air until kind of the end. I mean, you can get close, right? But we are likely to have those kinds of things. These are our best guesses right now. But you're absolutely right. If it starts at 4 or 5% on a different project that's nearly the same price, and ours is at 3%, and our contingency is lower, that makes absolutely perfect mathematical sense.
Right, we got to check that out. But my point is, somebody should be checking. I personally have no concern about the safety issues. I think they've been addressed. The issue, you have contingent and fixed price contracts as well.
Correct.
The problem is you have two parties, and who has the incentive to keep the contingency down? The school district gets a better school and things they want, and the construction manager gets more fee. So how do you end up controlling it? It's a problem with every project I've ever been associated with.
That's correct. If your contingency is higher on the front end, your fee's based on that, so you get more fee. If it's lower, you get less fee. So you'd have to calculate that in as well as far as what you're saving. It gets complicated. But the other thing, just I would be remiss if I did not, when I was explaining safety issues, I did not mean that was like the main issue with contingency. I was just giving an example of a few larger ticket. There's tons of things. We're glad to do a deep dive on each and every one of our contingency requests if that's needed. We're glad to. Did you guys see the pictures of where we are? You want Bill to give you a quick update on construction progress? Okay.
Yeah. By the way, thank you for these summaries. That's exactly what we need to look at in these transparency. Yeah.
Where am I at, Justin? Just click your little picture down there.
So these guys have been doing a very, very good job. They live, sleep, eat, breathe this project.
By the way, everyone, this is Justin Walters. He's a assistant PM out there. He's the guy that makes all the awesome videos that we've shown. Unfortunately, the last few months we've been too busy to get out and make the videos, but he's a great asset to us out there. Okay, so this is an aerial photo of where we're at currently in the construction. It's actually only about a week old, so it's hard to tell from this, but the roof is about 80% complete and on. We're about ready to start doing gutters and downspouts to complete that. If you're ever out by there, we've cleaned the brick mostly, and the windows had gotten delayed, but they've arrived now and are getting installed. So it's really starting to look finished from the outside. On this front piece right across here, which we call phase 1, we are inside. The ceilings have all been put in with the tiles dropped, and we're doing flooring in there and finishing up those areas. So we're just about complete up front there. And then the two classroom wings back here, they're in various states, but we're just starting to run through this phase 2 piece with to get some flooring in, tiles on the walls, the grid for the ceiling is in, and so on and so forth. The gym is starting to shape up on the inside. There we have our duct, spiral duct up in there, and it's looking good. As far as this, sorry, yes.
Will there be a covered walkway to the gym?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's a covered walkway. This is the play area right in here. Okay. There's a covered walkway that runs across there, and then also actually runs all the way to the front of it. There's also walkways that will run along a sidewalk right here, which is the the faculty parking lot. And then over at the bus loop for this length, there is a canopy there also. Site work wise, everything is done underground on site. They're putting in the sanitary off site right now to hook that up. I think the only thing we're short is a gas line going to the building. The meter has been set, and permanent power will be coming on by the end of this week. Yep. Oh, there's a water storage tank that's under construction. It's actually never falls in the picture. It's off to the upper portion here, but we're doing foundations there, and we'll be installing that over the next month or so.
And that's going well?
I'm sorry?
Any issues with that?
Daily, but these guys they make them go away.
Yeah, we've been fighting our way through that portion of the project. But we'll get there.
It's very obvious when you go by, so we can see you're having maybe some issues.
Yeah. Yes.
I have to say though, you go on site and look around, it's orderly. And things have an intent of what's happening. So I think we should be thankful that where we are.
Thank you.
Any more questions about PK through 6, Crescent City? Okay, just before I go, I would be remiss if I didn't say, and I'm not kissing up, but Thomas and Travis, I'm serious, Thomas and Travis, I worked with a lot of clients throughout the state and districts and universities, and Travis and Thomas remain engaged in these projects more so than a lot of my clients do. Just so you guys know, they're very on top of things. They're very busy, but they're, seem almost personally invested in making sure that it comes out good and things are spent properly and we're being good stewards. So just so you know, we work with them every day. So
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Melrose? You want to go?
I'll let David with Casper, he'll give you a brief update, and we've got the CM here for Melrose.
Yeah, again, David Casper Architects, quick update. We're working on our last night, I think we just got approved, our ERP package number 1 with Parrish McCall. So we'll be beginning as soon as next month, starting the renovation of Building 6 over on the northeast side of the property, and prepping students to move over there after the holidays so that Building 1 can start to be demolished. So that's where we're at. We're still in design phase as well. We're targeting, I think we're a little ahead of what's shown here. We're going to target towards the end of January to have all the building plans complete, and so we're on track for that. And yeah, a lot going on out there, a lot of locating utilities and discovering things along the campus, but things are moving well, and I think we got the right team for it.
I will make one comment for the public: is keep as many trees as you can. I know you heard that yesterday, but I'm just going to go on record and say it.
Yeah, and
I have a question on the date on Melrose. It says 28 August 25, 6 November 25, 26 February 25. Is that not the wrong year? Shouldn't it be 26?
yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
Just want to make sure I don't have to travel back in time.
We want to.
You're in a loop.
Guess what? I just saw a loop, so I was confused.
I have a question. This is not that question, but when is, 2 questions. When is the GMT going to be available?
for the entire project.
Yes.
We get documents from the design team at the end of January. It takes us about 6 to 8 weeks to competitively bid out the project, so.
March 1?
Yes, sir, roughly.
Around March 1, okay. And secondly, I was surprised at the demolition costs. It cost $300 and some thousand to do the demolition at Ellen and Miller on Horseman's Club Road. Why are we estimating it costs $1 million to do the demolition here?
That's questions.
It's not just it's not just the demolition. So the total ERP GMT was $1,065,000.
Look at here.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was not just the demolition of Building 1. That's the demolition of the entire of all the buildings on campus. But in this GMP, it also includes quite a bit of allowance to try to bridge the gap, give the design team some opportunity to finish their work to get us started out there on Building 6. We've also got some costs in there for utility relocations, some things that we're still investigating with Clay Electric and on-site.
That's where we got in trouble at Horseman's Club Road.
Yes, sir.
We finished the demolition and had to shut down the project. Costs would have kept going had we not done that. Because there's a real temptation when you have a demolition that costs $250,000 and an estimate that's $1 million. There's an estimate to spend that other $700,000 for stuff. So it's a word of caution. I'm not sure yet that everybody understands these are cost contracts. If you don't have the cost, you can't bill it. You're not entitled to that extra money that's you do a separate GMP, for example. But the point is, if demolition's really only $250,000, try to have $250,000 plus a little bit GMP.
Yes, sir.
Unless there's some other stuff, but make that explicit in the GMP.
Were those details in the package the school board approved yesterday? So if we wanted to see
Yes.
the details,
Yes, sir.
so that it is on the website. If you want to go through their documents of what
What
makes
that
up the 1
what the
million.
estimate is.
Right,
But
what makes up the
matters is
1
what
million.
I think Thomas said you're gonna do a separate GMP for the demolition, is that correct?
This is part of
It was
the,
approved
so
yesterday.
yes, this ERP does include the asbestos abatement and the demolition of all the buildings on campus. We would prefer not to have ERPs because I mean it does muddy some things up, but we're also up against time trying to give the design team their time to finish it up. So, you know, we're at 250,000. I want to say for all the demolition of all the buildings, we've got another 150,000 of asbestos abatement through those existing buildings before we can demo. We've also got monitoring in there, some allowances for lead paint survey.
As long as it's stated up front and is there and is a real cost, it's not an issue.
Yes, sir.
It's when there's a big gap in there,
Well,
there's no stated work.
I would encourage you and everybody else to look at the board documents from yesterday, because it has all the details of how they get to 1,019,535.
For the EMP.
Yes, for what was approved yesterday and what's on this piece of paper. Yeah.
Early release package.
Early.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm getting my acronyms down.
Well, that was.
Wish
for
y'all had
total of-
provided a
that was
dictionary.
For a total of $1 million?
Could we have
Yes.
a printout of the ERP?
It's on the school board's agenda from yesterday. It's all available.
It's
Why
on
can't
public
we have a
record.
copy of it at the next meeting?
I probably want it tomorrow. I wouldn't wait for the next
Well, we
meeting.
probably
It's already been
want it tomorrow,
approved.
But I'm trying to be conservative a bit.
It's already been approved, so I would look at it tonight if you have a question on it, because
If
it's,
we can access the school board's thing.
I looked at it yesterday. It's all available.
Well, if your computer works, yeah.
The issue is that.
Go to the library.
The issue is that the school board pay attention to what the actual work is and what the costs are, and the billing comes in for the cost.
That
It
is
doesn't
a,
matter if it's $2 million.
That's a huge
What matters
question.
is someone watches it.
That
In
is-
the case of Eller Miller, it wasn't being watched.
that is the number one issue I have with this entire process is we see everything afterwards.
Well,
The only way we could look at it ahead of time is if you looked at the board documents, they've already approved it, there's not a whole lot we can do. So, we're information pushers. But
Yeah.
that's, I'll get off that soapbox, but that's all it means. So,
I can live with that.
any other questions on the Melrose update? That was more exciting than I expected. I'm gonna jump to Kelly Smith. Fun you can have. Your demolition's higher, just to let you know.
I saw that.
Yeah. So why is that?
I'm back.
All right, Kelly Smith.
And this one was approved, the ERP was approved for this.
The
yesterday,
early
too?
release package was approved yesterday on this one too. Yes, we finished up the early release documents a month to 6 weeks ago. They have bid it. The GMP was presented and approved yesterday. The rest of the documents we finished the first week or so of October, so it is on the street right now being bid. So that will be coming up. I'll let them speak to exactly when we're pulling the numbers together for that.
Back again. So like Greg was saying, the early release package GMP was approved last night. Mr. Shepard may be in the same boat as me. You know, the ERPs can be a little bit more difficult to manage. I myself have not been able to do a project without one in years now because just time constraints typically stop it. So ours include site work, early site work, clearing, grubbing. This project lends itself to an early release because there's a lot of clearing, grubbing to do and a lot of kind of mass grading to do. So that work can be done while the design is concurrently being completed, which saves you time. So when we look at this project, we look at a project that's very, very similar to Crescent City's PK through 6. But it's just a little bit different layout, similar project building, with the additional element of demolition of an entire school, asbestos abatement, and all that stuff. So the schedule is tight. So any kind of time that we can save by doing this kind of thing, concurrent design and construction, we want to take advantage of so that the district can get into the school in the summer, like planned. So that's the deal. So the site work, demolition, some asbestos abatement. There's residential structures that have to come down. We've also included dollars in there for expedited procurement of reinforcing steel, structural steel like H trusses, and electrical gear to help facilitate that speed that I was talking about. And then general conditions and requirements based specifically on that, that work. So that's how that works. We will begin contracting once it's already approved. So we'll begin contracting. We'll mobilize at the end of December. And then we are working to have a GMP within the next several weeks that we can turn over to Thomas and his team and go over it. So we should be able to have the 100% bought out approved by the end in January of 2026. So that's the plan, with completion in the summer of 2027. Yeah. So that's the overall 30,000 foot view.
Can you mention tearing down a residential structure?
Yes, sir.
From that new property?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just want to go on record again that I think the school district well overpaid for that property because we bought a $180,000 house that we knew was going to be torn down. Not on you.
So, if I can recall, like one of the issues that caused a delay, I think with the intermediate school, it was something with the wetlands or something. Have we, since I know the school is not, I know the school is not going to be right in the same exact spot where it is now. So have we assessed all that, and is that a possibility? Because we want to learn from our previous lessons.
I don't want to speak for Greg, but that effort between our two firms has been very, very strong. And Thomas and Travis, so we meet bi-weekly to discuss all these things. And lessons learned are always a very important thing to us, whether it be permitting or, zoning, whatever. We're going to talk about every one of those things. And Greg can tell you the status of each one of those, but I can assure you they're being looked at and worked on. And the main thing is that we don't get held up by mobilization, and we're on track for that at this point. So if Greg wants to add anything, but yes, they are all being addressed, looked at, made sure that things are being accounted for in the GMPs, accounted for in the planning and sequencing. Yes, ma'am. And it's a great point.
Thank you.
Let me add real quick that yes, there are a couple of gopher tortoises on site. That's been started, and as wet as it is, there are a couple of gopher tortoises. That process is underway right now. St. John's River Water Management District, that permit's well on its way right now. So we're doing everything to stay ahead of them on this one.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
I have a question. Andy,
We're on, sir.
all right, I'm comparing Crescent City to Kelly Smith, and they're similar in size in stations, kid stations, but it's about $2 million more than Crescent City. It looks like the main difference is the demolition, and you're on a very tight site, is it?
Yeah, so several things, and right now, don't forget, we're only at an estimate, right? So we won't know the true until we bid out this 100%. But it's a great point. So if there was a question in there, I think it would be, why would we anticipate this project being more? One of the answers is absolutely the demolition of the entire school, the asbestos abatement, the sequencing and phasing, the smaller site, those kinds of things. Could lend themselves to it being a more expensive school. Now, without giving a kind of false hope, the good that you have is, the market is a little better. The escalation, of course, the cost has still escalated, right? Because it's been time, but the subs are a little hungrier, so that may help us. The location of this school versus Crescent City may help us. Again, these are soft X factor things that we can't promise, but those are the bigger costs that we would see for this one.
Inflation. Like
yes, exactly.
Said,
right.
It's a year.
Exactly.
It's a year difference.
Exactly. So,
Okay.
On your lessons learned.
Yes, sir.
We just talked about Crescent City
yes, sir.
and all those contingencies. Are you gonna build in those lessons learned to this one?
Yes, sir. We've already done that quite a bit in that estimate that I believe Mr. Newbold is looking at. For example, whether it be audio enhancement or any of these things that were kind of like, okay, well, we know we have to have that. Both the design team has incorporated those things early on, and we have incorporated those things into our GMPs and will continue in estimates so that everybody knows, okay, this is how much it's going to cost, and so we're not quote unquote surprised. I mean, again, the contingency is being used for what it's supposed to be used for,
Right.
but if we can, get out in front of those, it would be less maybe shocking to some folks as we go along.
So if we apples to apples, if you're building those things in now, the GMP would be a little bit higher, but you would probably use less contingency throughout the project.
Correct.
The dates are wrong on the proposed schedule for Kelly Smith Primary School. It says October of 2025, September 2025, etc., July and October. And then I didn't notice it on Black Intermediate School, but the dates are wrong, the years wrong. So
We're so fast that we are going to go 88 miles an hour and get, no, I'm kidding. No, I don't. Typo, yeah. No, good call.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Question?
I'll go around, I'll come back to you.
JR. So Mr. Newbold hit on the first question I had, because I asked the question when we started Crescent City of why the escalation of the Crescent City school is so high. We were told that the subcontractors didn't want to go down to work in fencing. And then this school is $2 million more than the Crescent City school, and it's not as far away, so the contractor should bid. So the question still remains, why is this one so much higher? Because that's what we were told in Crescent City. The cost was elevated because of location. This should be very somewhere in line with the same money as we spent at the Palaca Intermediate School, but it continuing to grow higher and higher in a better condition, better market. That's why a long time that these things have been competitively bid and got a little bit off the street, because we would actually realize its cost.
Yeah, Mr.
One thing I'll point out is these numbers are 3 years old, I believe. These estimates.
Yes.
So
These estimates on this,
on the sheet you're looking at,
the Kelly Smith is 3 years old.
That makes it worse.
that makes it worse.
Mr. Grimes, it's a great point, and ultimately, just so you know, the way this process, and I'm sure but I mean, ultimately, when we're going along these design phases and we're doing estimates, that's our best guess, our historical data. We do a good job of that. Sure. But once we buy it, we are getting, minimum make every possible human attempt to get minimum 3 bids to make sure that we get that best value price for the subs. And of course, that's all transparent. Everybody sees it. So at the end of the day, what we can buy it for is what we'll get it for. You know what I mean? So all those things will kind of come out in the wash with that 100% GMP. And everybody will get a chance to look at it. So
I think Thomas did a good job explaining to us why the early permits are necessary, because we got to get ahead on the schedule. These really aren't demolitions. They're really demolitions and other stuff.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And the other stuff is probably more than the demolition.
Yes, sir.
But it's needed other stuff.
Right.
It's something they can estimate. But again, back to my point was, if you itemize the other stuff, which I hope they've done, and then see that it was done.
Sooner you buy it, the cheaper it is too.
What?
Sooner you buy it, the cheaper it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly. Oh, yes, there's all kind of reason to do it.
So kind of along the lines with what Dr. Hunter just said. So I know at Kelly Smith, we're keeping a building because it's not old enough. It's
Building 12.
too new to be demolished. So would that add to the cost? Because I remember when we were talking about it in the early stages, to like renovate was more expensive almost than or cost.
It depends. It depends. That's a tough one, but it's a great point, and I forgot to mention it. That's another reason for a little bit more cost. Yeah. So there is a building 12. How many square feet? Do we know roughly how many square feet it is? It's a fairly decent sized building, and so that has to be renovated, which is another scope item that would not have been included, obviously, at Crescent City.
And that's also the hurricane.
Yes.
Yes.
Hurricane shelter.
That's correct.
And don't you have to be careful when you demolish and you're keeping a building?
Yes.
There's some cost in there too, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We don't have to worry as much about trees like Bill does, but we.
Yeah, well, that you know of.
Yeah.
Actually, JR asked my question.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
did have one more, because you did mention that they turned down a residential house. The zoning is done for this one?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just want to make sure that it is. Okay.
Everybody and their cousin has double checked that, I believe. So.
Mhm.
Just want to make sure.
Any other questions on Kelly
Well,
Smith?
just on the question that asked, the trouble we got into Ortonville Road is, when the question was asked, do you have the permits? We were told yes. The answer was no. And so now the question is, Greg said they're on track. Will they get done, and who's making sure they get done?
Yes, sir. They are applied. We have submitted applications for all of those. And so we're tracking it. They're with us tracking it. Different civil engineer is doing this work. So I've got a lot of confidence in him.
Yes, sir.
You said, is that 180 for that house? Is that part of this cost too? Or is that?
We've already spent it.
Already done.
That's what I mean, but
We
it's
spent-
built into this also, right?
No, it's not in this.
They bought that separate from the bond.
No, it's from
It's
the
from the
bond.
bond.
Yeah.
See, we
It's
don't
not
have
these
total
numbers.
cost summaries, so
Yeah.
that doesn't show up. We will be getting one on Horseman's Club Road.
Right.
It'll show on Jonathan's
First one.
report.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any other questions on Kelly Smith? All right. Did Jonathan join?
I text him.
It's okay.
Thank you as always.
Jonathan,
guys.
thank you.
Thank you.
Jonathan is out of town, and the biggest thing that I wanted from Jonathan that he doesn't have yet is that arbitrage report that I remember from last meeting. Has to do with how much interest we've earned versus how much we're paying. I've checked with him several times. It's not complete yet. It's not him doing it. So we'll skip that part at the moment.
Mr. Chairman, would you explain that risk again? We're making too much money.
Correct. We're earning more than we're supposed to.
How do we stop that?
Well, no, they'll pay.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Crack them up.
We're gonna let the crowd disperse a little bit.
Hearing them is.
That's a good trick. Hold the check.
All right, so a couple of members wanted to go over the audit findings. I will let whoever has questions start with your questions.
So, well, Mr. Chairman, let me ask you this. I did not listen to the school board meeting last night. Is there a summary on the audit findings as it compares to the bonds, compared to our function that was brought up last night?
Nothing related to us that I remember. I can tell you that my opinion is everything that's in the audit is related to processes at the school district level. I have talked to Mr. Woods and haven't talked to Thomas, I'm sure he has, that they're very comfortable that they've addressed it, and if we'd like for them to address it,
Okay.
be glad to do it.
I was just
Have them
wondering.
do it, see if we had any specific questions for them.
So the only question I had, because I got confused when I was reading through the paper and then looking at this stuff. And so I know that they were talking about like invoices and all this other stuff. And if you paid an invoice, if you paid it late, then you got some kind of charge.
Right.
Would that be applicable to us, or was that just for what they were talking about with the
That-
P cards and all that? I was getting
No
confused.
P cards, but and I know some of the invoices weren't paid in that time because they didn't get the invoices from people that needed to be paid.
So
So
would,
it's kinda hard to
would that
control.
affect us? And
No.
That wouldn't affect us
That's,
at all?
and that's
Okay.
the, so.
We're changing our processes internally, so when we do get the receipt orders, then we get the invoices at the same time, so we can go ahead and pay them, so.
And as it relates to us, we're still here to make sure the money's spent on schools, not in anything else.
Right.
The day-to-day operation is not what we're doing, and
Not our purview.
there was something, Travis, I wanted you to address in it. Oh, the bid openings. That just, it looks like y'all weren't attending bid openings, but we know that's not true.
Yeah, we had 6 different bid openings, and I attended all 6.
Right.
But we did not have it documented.
Right.
And when the question was asked, he didn't say anything about documentation. But we had that documented, but going forward, the 2 that y'all just went over, the ERPs, that was documented and filed, so the next audit, we should be good.
Right. Dr. Hunter?
I had a different set of conclusions from looking at the audit.
Okay.
Whoever said that, that was great. There were 3 items which are directly in our purview. And I think, first of all, the audit's not evidence that anything was misspent or misused.
Right.
The audit doesn't affect that. It has a number of claims, but it basically had the three things which we've always asked, paying attention to: contingency, general conditions, and payment to the subcontractor. We're starting to get our arms around that, but the audit implied they weren't being paid attention to. Now, and we've been pointing that out. So my view is it's directly in the line with what we've been saying for about the last year. And it says, pay attention to this. And Travis may be right, and have a record of it. It's also possibly auditors talked to somebody that wasn't involved and it did actually happen, but there's some findings in there, for example, like no bids were required. But if you look at it, it's a very small number. It's like $78,000 or something out of 60 million. The point is there are going to be a few little bids that get placed to do somebody. I'm guessing the things in Crescent City or something like that. The point is, to me, that wasn't a big issue. Yet the auditors made kind of a deal out of it.
I would just argue, like, individual bids, that is not in our purview.
No.
That is the school district and how they spend money in their process. I work 50, 60 hours a week. I'm not going to come down here and watch bid openings and talk about contracts.
No, I wasn't implying that. But we did ask about a year and a half ago to be sure that there are multiple bids on every subcontract. That is our purview. To be sure there was competition.
That's a school board policy. That's not our purview. That's setting policy. The school board policy.
That's not policy.
Yes,
That's
it
just-
absolutely
that's
is
just management
policy.
Research. It's like JR says, you need to take advantage of competition. The only way we save costs is have subcontracts bid.
I don't disagree, but that is a school board policy they have to follow, just like the county has to follow their certain bid processes. If we want to suggest they change it, we can,
No.
but we cannot dictate policy to the board or anyone related to the board in our position.
I wasn't implying that. In the cases where they didn't have multiple bids, to me, it wasn't a big deal. But the point is, managing contingency, managing general conditions are things that need to be paid attention to. These are not, you don't pay the GMP, again, I'm repeating myself. You're not liable to pay the GMP. You're liable to pay the costs that are legitimate and verified costs. And general conditions have a chance to get
But that's
out.
totally different from bids.
And I agree with both of you, and they do need to be monitored. And I'm gonna, my facilities director does not like to speak in public that often, but I'm gonna make him here in just a second, just because I know all of these things that are being done. For example, yesterday we met with both contractors for the two new schools yesterday to negotiate general conditions. We brought down the overall percentage fee in one, and then we talked about the number of staff members on site for the other. The first go around, we didn't document that we did that. So yesterday we have it calendared, we took notes, we have a paper trail to show the auditors, yeah, we did it. Because they want to say, or they want to see the proof. They could care less what you say,
Right.
And whether if you tell them you did it, well, good for you, but I need to see the actual proof. And then the general conditions along the way, every time you guys get an invoice, you're checking and double checking, right? And I'll let you speak to that as well. But
No, when a pay app comes in, it's cross-referenced by Mandy Altman, my admin assistant. And if those gentlemen wouldn't have left, they could tell you stories on stuff she's caught. And she just pushes it right back to them and said, try again. But we just did not have it documented. And I'll be honest with you, with the amount of construction we have done, and just to get hit with those three things for documentation, I'm actually proud of what we've done.
Could you, while you're up there, could you mention what you told me about the Melrose, I don't remember what part it was, something y'all just went through recently and it's gonna bring the cost of the remodel. Just you being there, it helped bring the cost down.
The scope started out, the schematic price was like 5.5 million, and that kind of like, everybody got sticker shock. And so we went through buildings 14, 15, and 16 and went with the architect and their engineers and like HVAC. We replaced them about 5 years ago, but they had that in the schematic. And 6-year-old HVAC, I'm good with, because they're classroom units. 10 years down the line, it's not going to break my budget to replace those. So we saved a ton of money there. started going through the windows. That was on the scope. The windows got to looking. There's nothing wrong with the windows. I put a floor in all 3 buildings within the last 3 years. So we whittled that scope down to, if you look at the website, it might be $2 million. So we shaved off $3 million on the renovations of those buildings.
Wow. And there's one more thing I was going to ask you, and I forgot what it was. Who wants to go first?
So help me to understand, because I'm trying to understand, like what oversight we have versus the oversight that they have, because I know you said we don't get into the day-to-day stuff, but we do get into how the bond money is being spent.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, and this is from the paper, so this might not be, not anything against the paper, 100% true. But it said, I'm just trying to be politically correct. Okay, so it says, auditors said staff verified invoice math, but didn't document checks to ensure payments match contract terms or subcontractor agreements, relying instead on contractors for oversight. So is that what y'all are saying y'all did, but you just didn't document it?
Yep, and we have a plan in place now with a spreadsheet. Me and Thomas kind of racked our brain on how do we document that. But we have a plan, and it's documented. It started, I don't know, 2 weeks ago when we went over it. So it's, like I said, all 3 findings were documentation.
So would that have been something that we should have found and addressed, or that, because that's the day-to-day stuff?
And that's,
okay, gotcha.
And one thing I'll mention, we said this, or it might have been Dr. Hurt, somebody said it very early on, that everything related to this was going to get audited.
Gotcha.
And it was going, and there's many people looking at it every day, and audits, that's part of the job. I mean, it's got to happen. Public money.
Yeah.
There's 2 questions related, and one question about audits. Is a general conditions invoice labeled general conditions?
I would have to check on that. I do not know on the financing
When I
of
was
it.
looking at the invoices weren't labeled against the GMP categories.
Yes.
You couldn't tell contingency from general conditions from brickwork.
Yes.
And the second point is, when we asked to get a summary, this committee asked to get a summary of the costs according to the categories, contingencies, I forgot what we were told, but we said we could, it just kind of disappeared, evaporated. We asked for such a summary, which would have made this audit finding go away, but it never was done. Does that mean there's not a summary at any one time of the costs according to the GMP categories? At any one time, could you just look and say, we spent $24 million on general conditions or whatever?
That, to my knowledge, that's what I thought Greg could produce for us, and just we haven't seen it.
Didn't, but the contractor knows them instantly.
Right.
They produce these in an hour.
And that's, I've heard them several times say, "Oh, we have that," but we've never seen it.
Me and Thomas look at that in the OAC meetings bi-weekly, and they have the general condition log, the condition contingency
They have a
log.
summary of each of the 7.
That summary that you saw, that you
Yeah.
gave Ajax a compliment, we look at that every other Thursday.
Yeah, but we're trying to stay out of the details if we can, but we just asked for a summary of the cost for each of the categories of the GMP, and it never happened. Had we seen that, this audit finding would probably gone away.
Yes, ma'am.
I was one of the ones that asked for us to have this meeting to look at this audit when like Yvette, Ms. Jones, when I read the paper, I didn't see a whole bunch of stuff that I wanted to see, but I did see, honestly, and yes, I still subscribe to it, but they talk about construction costs. We are monitoring construction costs and rehab costs that are going on right now. That's our job, to make sure that the bond money is being used the way it's supposed to be used. So when I saw that, then I felt we needed to know something about what did the audit say about how the money's being used. And on page 7 on findings, I think one of the other folks mentioned this, it says, however, there was no evidence that the district personnel compared the pay requests and related payments to the GMP contract or subcontractor invoices, or that the payments for subcontractor services were compared to some subcontractor contract. And then it goes down and says, however, the district reliance on CME procedures provide little assurance that the pay requests and related district payments were proper. And then that was on page 8, and it's under finding 7 under finding 8. it says, it talks about new construction and, the bond, and it says, as discussed in finding 8, the board contracted with 3 CMEs for GMP contracts for construction projects totaling $213.9 million at 3 schools. And we are monitoring that $213.9 million for the 3 schools because we're monitoring the money that these schools cost. So I think that this it's a very appropriate meeting that we've had to talk about this and get some clarity on this audit. And I understand what Travis said, and that explains part of what was said on finding number 7. But I was very uncomfortable when I saw in the paper that there was an audit, and I didn't see anything. It talked about new construction. I went, wait a minute, we're monitoring to make sure the money's going right, so we have to find out, what did the audit say? Is everything okay? It looks like it probably is just some minor stuff. I feel better about it.
Do the auditors know we are here?
Oh, yeah.
Did they?
It was just
Probably the FBI knows.
We're not doing audits.
No, I know we're not doing audits.
Do they know we exist?
Somebody's monitoring that bond money today.
I can't answer that. I mean, I'm assuming that somebody at some point in time probably said we have a bond oversight committee.
Yeah, I hope so.
But
Yeah.
I do have a question.
Oh, yes, sir.
So I've got a question that, I'm not getting into procedures of the school system, but it does relate to this committee. So back, I think in our first meeting, we talked about what do you do when you can't get but a subcontractor to bid on something? And that was discussed here in detail. As it relates to the school board policy that would relate to here, what is your policy when you can't find qualified subs?
you re-advertise it. We had the same problem with actually both Crescent City schools. The high school I know is not in y'all's realm, but the elementary school obviously is, and they had a heck of a time finding site work contractors down there. Actually,
Plumbing wasn't easy.
plumbing was one too, but site work, and they just kept re-advertising, and you might have this site contractor, he might put in for it, and then they go over it with him, and he's not qualified to do it, or he's not bonded. So it just, they keep, because I mean, they're not going to get stuck with it. They're going to be safe.
Come to a point, and I think this is the way it is in the county, and JR can correct me, doesn't it come to the point that you have to take it to some authority to say, hey, I can only find one bid, this is it, and you didn't seek permission to accept that bid?
It's just,
We have the same, we have to document,
Okay.
we've did our due diligence trying to, get 3, 4, 5 bidders, and it just, and as long as you document it, no different when we got hit with this audit. We just did not have our documentation.
So my point, Mr. Chairman, in asking that question, I'm assuming that's gonna fall back into the kind of procedures that our companies will follow here, or have followed.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I don't think we had a problem with bids, either two projects so far, except for that minor amount which they show, which I consider insignificant.
Right.
It looked to me like we got competitive bids all the way through. But I still am a little uncertain about the correlation of invoices with categories.
Invoices
Like what
what?
Travis said, in other words, when an invoice comes, my experience in looking at the invoices was they just came in unlabeled, and they got paid just like you're paying for the bus gas. They just got paid. Question is, are they now labeled so they're associated? If they're contingency, for example, do they say contingency on the invoice so you can keep track of how much contingency's been spent?
I know
That's what it
I know the
looks-
contingency gets board approved. That goes to the board, and if there's anything that decreases the contingency, it gets board approved.
Let's just say it's millwork or concrete work. Does the invoice say concrete work? And the GMP has like 12 or 13 categories. Each category, my question is, do you associate, does a given invoice associate with a given category when they come through the news? Because
Yeah.
that's what Allegra read there. No one is making the correlation.
Well, I would expect, is that a Jonathan question?
It wasn't true before.
It's a finance, I mean.
Yeah, I mean,
it could be.
I'll
Best
email
guess
Jonathan.
would be, my best guess would be, no, it doesn't say general conditions. It just says whatever that thing is, whether it's an electric bill or whatever.
Yeah, but
And I mean, we know what it is, and she knows to make sure, Mandy knows to make sure that it's something that's in GMP, before she
Yeah, but you're right, Thomas, and I like the way you guys are, but we asked for a summary and couldn't get it. When the contractor was asked, they produced it in a matter of 2 or 3 hours.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Anything else on audit stuff? Yes, ma'am.
Now, just what Dr. Hunter said, I was looking at the recommendation on page 9, I'd like to read it into the record. The district should establish procedures to require district personnel to attend and document attendance at subcontractor bid openings, confirm applicable subcontractor licenses, and compare subcontractor bid awards to the GMP and subcontractor contracts to verify that the CME uses a competitive selection process to select qualified subcontractors, and that the GMP contracted subcontractor contract and bid award amounts agree. The final one recommendations on page 10 under finding number 9, general conditions costs, and the recommendation from the auditor, the district should establish effective procedures for negotiating, monitoring, and documenting the reasonableness of general condition costs. Such procedures should require documentation of the methodology used and factors considered in negotiating general condition costs. In addition, the district should maintain records that evidence general condition cost monitoring, including review of sufficiently detailed documentation supporting general condition costs in the CME pay records. And I just would like that on the record for our minutes. I think the school board, the school district just needs to tighten up some of their, it looks like just tighten up some of their procedures.
On finding 9, I think that's where having someone who knows how to, who has experience in construction management that works for the district would know if these costs were reasonable. I had this old GMP when it was going to be a pre-K through 6 school. And I talked about it with a couple of people who have experience doing that, and they were surprised at some of the costs.
Did they have experience building schools?
Not specifically schools.
That's the experience they need. From what I've been told.
Yes.
From what I've been told,
But,
that's
yes.
much different. Yeah.
So I'm concerned that maybe we overpaid because we didn't have somebody who, and it's in alignment with the Auditor General who says, looking at the reasonableness of the cost. So how much have we overpaid?
I do agree with that, and I think it goes back to, we see everything afterward. I mean, by the time we saw GMP, it's already been approved.
Right. And so hiring a new person who has that experience, we've already approved the ERPs for 2 other projects. Can the district hire a person to look at those projects before we agree to?
That's what they talked about yesterday. It's in process.
Just, as a liquor read, if that happens, that should take care of things. In my mind, hiring another person is a different question. We have to just see how that manifests itself. But right now, I think there's a question of who sits on the school board side of the table.
That's been our question.
And I personally think that you're expecting the architect to do more than they're doing with respect to reviewing these costs. That's been my experience, that the architect is supposed to be on your side of the table, and they're supposed to check all the things that we were just talking about. And the invoices that come through have to be certified by the architect of record, and it has to be reasonable and legitimate cost. And they are independent. They're supposedly not related to the contractor. And I think you guys should ask the question, are you expecting that of your architects, and are you getting it?
Well, I've been involved in a couple of building projects, and the architect usually does none of that. That was my experience. Now, every architect is different, but they're designers. They show up when it's over and say, oh, that's not right, fix it. You know, that's, we need more than architect looking over it.
The architect of record is given the architect of design. And the architect of record is supposed to be the agent of the owner. And you know, on big projects, you hire what's called Title III architects, and they do the oversight on behalf of the owner.
Well, that's different than what I was dealing with.
You're getting now, but I don't know if it's working.
Right, and that may be part of the issue completely.
Yeah.
I would.
I'd sure check out those procedures and all that and expectations before I hired somebody else.
Good question.
He hit right on it.
Okay. Any other questions on the audit? All righty.
I want to bring up something for committee members. Are you ready for that?
Sure.
So we've had several questions here tonight that relate to financial questions. I'm wondering, Mr. Chairman, can we get those answers out to us before the next meeting? Because I think some of those are very important for us to see.
See, why not?
Okay.
I have, my question is similar to what Wayne's is, but I have said here, I haven't asked for very much. When the bond person was here, I asked him for a total amount of what the bond would cost at the end of the 30 years, and they never gave me an answer. They gave me the runaround. J.R. Grimes gave me the answer. But I have heard these gentlemen, mostly gentlemen, and some of the ladies repeatedly request information. Every meeting, they ask for information. Come back at the next meeting, we don't have it. Is there any way, short of getting a subpoena or sending Gabriel Loach after it, for us to get that darn information we request?
Well, I think
It's not a
that's what the
secret, it's
chairman's
public
doing.
information. We're the Bond Oversight Committee. Why can't we get the simple information that Dr. Hunter and Mr. McLean and Yvette and I haven't asked for a whole bunch of, we've asked for information, we don't get it.
I don't want to throw Miss Alice under the bus.
Alice got nothing to do with it.
No, she doesn't. I'm going to ask if you will detail exactly what you want to see. If you will send it to Miss Alice.
Send me an email. I mean, that's what Dr. Hunter did. That's what Ms. Stanley did. Send me a question, and then I have it in writing what the question is that you're looking for, and then
that
it's
can be
easier for me to communicate it.
And that can be disseminated to
All right, well, let's get your questions to her and let's see if we get an
When we
answer.
ask for it at the meeting, we don't need to send an extra email.
I would follow up with an email.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, then I'm sorry, the question then that we have several major financial questions, do I need to send those in, or are you going to do that?
I would prefer, if it's a question you have, you send it to Miss Alice, and we will get the answers for you.
Well, a couple of the reports that you mentioned earlier, are you going to be doing that, or you want me to do it, or we do it?
No, I would send it to Alice.
Okay.
If it's a specific question you want, I want it your words, so that you get the answer that you're looking for.
Okay.
So we
And I don't
can
know
do
what
it
you
here.
asked for.
There's no,
Same
thing we've asked for before, the summary, but.
The only remaining question in my mind is this total cost question.
So-
Which we need to get, and that's in the record from last time, and it's in the record from this time. I talked to Greg about thinking Greg could put it, he says, no, he can't, he doesn't have access to all the information. So we can't get it through that channel. Questions out them again.
Do you need to send an email then?
No, I did. That was one of the questions I sent to Alex, and I did not get an answer back, because it was sent to the contractor. The contractor doesn't know all those costs, and they just sent their costs.
Did you get a satisfactory answer on the questions that you did
Yes,
send?
except for the one on total cost. But all the questions I asked, yes, the contractor gave a perfect answer, clear, laid it out.
Always is. Sound like the egg pile tomorrow.
Just a summary of all costs attributable to a school.
Bond cost.
Bond costs, architect costs, and land costs.
Ahead of time.
Anything to be associated. Because we're looking at a $70 million school, what's the start date? Maybe 65. We got another $10 million more in Crescent City. We're gonna have to explain that somehow. People are gonna wanna know that.
Okay. Any other members have any comments? Mr. Hotelling, I apologize for this being so long. You're the only member of the public here. Would you like to speak? Whoa.
All right, somebody's phone's near, ain't me.
It's your turn.
It's Amy.
I'll need you to come up to the mic because they can't hear you when we record it. I guess you need to do your name and address. You know the routine. You want JR to give it for you?
Tim Hotelling, 105 Riverside Way, San Mateo. I'd gone over the article and came up with some questions that I'm sort of fascinated. What's your position here? What's your area of power and what isn't? that I hadn't discovered, but the findings probably with Miss Amy's, the major thing is the district records do not identify the methodology used and factors considered to establish the reasonableness of the costs. That seems to be big, along with a question that came up to mind as everybody was talking about the virtues of the contingencies in contrast to the effort of putting change orders through. And I was curious is if the documentation for the need of these variances, for lack of a better term, is any different. If this contingency thing is just a way to get around and not have questions that need answered asked. And
Anything that goes through contingency comes to y'all for approval before it even, and then it goes to the board for approval.
well, again, it's the question of documentation of the reasonableness and that sort of
If anything,
thing.
the contingency items are the most documented.
And the other thing being looking through the elementary school list of charges and everything, there's probably, I've found some explanations for some of the things, but like final cleaning at 92 grand seems duplicated by temporary labor at 192 grand, which are 2 labors per week at $2,800 a week, and additional site cleaning, and they're going to mow sod that's just been laid for 5 months at $3,000. Just seemed to me a lot of duplicitous and curious needs. Some of the other thoughts are like the printers and the office equipment seem to be something that I would think that wouldn't be thrown away after 15 months. And is there any checking to verify that they didn't just come off of the shelf and you're getting gig $15,000 for something that was never bought? Which all goes to the audit about the lack of checks and balances and your questions as to what the school's responsible for policy versus what y'all are doing. The other tidbit that there's probably, and like, why are you buying 16 cell phones at $1,000 a month? My cell phone bill doesn't go anywhere near $1,000. But again, that was in the original bid package, which I know it's water under the bridge, but the bottom line is you're building more schools. And so how many more 16 are these guys retained on just one project?
Right.
Or are you going to be buying 16 phones 10 times over?
That goes right to what
And if you go plug into Google or into chat, whatever, and ask what the average fee is for salary remuneration for project managers and all of these, you'll see that they claim it's about half of what you're paying. And again,
can't argue with you.
a lot of questions that I think really deserve, which goes back to my pitch from last night. If you had a inspector general working for the schools, you could have put them on this chore ahead of time, find what the best, they'd go to a contractor that knows contract stuff, find the best practices and find where people are cheating so that we can keep an eyeball on it and make your job easier and the taxpayer cheaper. But that's another pitch.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So I did see that about the cell phone thing, and that was Osley, and it was like $12,000 or $16,000. I don't know where it is right now. But they're not gonna be doing the other schools that are left, right? Cause I just, and the thing, I meant to ask it while they were here, but what is that? Cause it said internet / phones, cell phones. So what is that? And Does it even matter because they're not doing the next schools?
Well, it mattered for what we paid in the first round.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I have to go back and check out.
So that was one of the questions I had, but by the time I found my question, they had left, so.
So if we paid thousands of dollars for cell phones and laptops and equipment that they use during the construction process, if we
Right.
paid for it, shouldn't we
Should we
have
give
it?
it?
Shouldn't we
Right.
have it?
Right. And, or if they use it for the next project wise,
Anything we pay for, we get to keep.
Did you
again,
keep,
Tom?
did you keep any, like,
Anything we pay for, we get to keep. So
Okay.
did you keep some of the laptops from?
Not yet, they're still on site.
And then the other question, I mean, I guess I can send it to Miss Alice, but it said repaint the multipurpose in gym. And this was for the Palatka Intermediate School, but it's brand new, so did they have to tear something down and then have to repaint it again?
The colors didn't match.
And that was $12,831.
that sounds like something I would do.
Did we see that when we were over there?
We, we had the choice of either let it stay where it was, redoing it ourselves, or just running it through contingency and getting it right. And our team just decided to get it right.
Okay.
You bet, where are you getting those?
So it's on this thing, let's see, the one, the Oxley Construction Summary Job.
Just put it in my.
Okay, for contingency.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
for your
contingency.
question number 3.
Yeah, my question, yeah.
And so it said like the cell phone, internet cost other, and that was $15,554.
If the paint didn't match, is everybody colorblind? Couldn't they see the paint didn't match when they were painting it? I mean, I painted my house, I painted my friend's house, my family's houses, inside and out.
You wanna paint that?
Maybe, and I will. But I can tell when the colors don't match.
Yeah.
If I go to Sherwin-Williams or go to Home Depot and buy the paint, I can see if it doesn't match. I get a sample first to make sure it matches.
I'm not gonna argue with
So how
you.
can you not match paint unless you're colorblind, and then it wouldn't look right in the first
You
place?
shouldn't be a painter.
I mean, seriously.
Those are all lessons learned, so we won't make that same mistake on the next.
Well, that's
We
true,
hope.
30 years
Don't know
from
if you
now,
make it.
but they will make the same
We
mistakes.
Yeah, we didn't make that mistake.
No, you
Yeah.
didn't.
But we paid for it.
Yeah.
That's the,
But we
I think
paid.
that's the,
We had to pay for it.
twice? Yeah, right.
Like when the contractor didn't know, or the engineer didn't know there was swamp at Kelly Smith. He didn't look at the aerial photograph. He didn't walk behind the school. He didn't know what Little Land swampland looked like.
Well, that's what it costs.
That's why he's not doing it again.
I mean, seriously.
Public comment reminded me, question that was, what audit do we actually have going forward? Say at the Ocean Spud. Who will actually audit what? This audit was not about the construction project. This is a broad system, but who will it be? I have a particular question. I know how much they say they're paying their project managers. Somebody needs to check the payroll records to be sure that's what they do pay them. Remember, we had trouble, they were double loading them back, and we caught them on, they didn't do it intentionally, just a clerical error. They double loaded on it, and that costs were way up, and they reduced them down. But who checks, who answers those questions? Who goes in and matches the payroll records against the supposed salary invoices?
Not a question I can answer.
I mean,
That's a very good
Good
question.
financial question.
our finance or the state?
I would hope ours.
I was told the state was gonna do, an audit. It's not this audit, but, I mean, that kind of audit, to me, I do think in that area, I'd sure like to see the checks, to see they really are paying a first entry project manager $250,000 a year. If they are, that's fine, but they gotta pay them that much, not just say they're paying that much.
Right.
That's a question for our financial person.
Yeah, but
Good answer.
I do know this, the state, I went up and met with some, actually Thompson and I met with one of the senators, and doesn't have anything to do with bonds, but it has to do with special facilities. And some of these same questions are being asked by them. And they are actually looking at, they haven't authorized it yet, but they are looking at hiring like a contractor from each of the 3 consortia to do exactly what is being suggested, where they can go in and, be on the ground and see what's being spent.
So right now, there's no predetermined audit of the details unless the school district does one.
Now, I said to you during negotiating general contracts yesterday to James Marine, almost direct quote I had was, okay, you're charging this for your fee.
Yeah.
We don't want to see somewhere in the future, there's a published report that says you get paid X amount of dollars, yet you charge us Y over here, they need
Right.
to match.
But who checks,
Some insurances.
who checks that? I mean, you.
How we actually get, saying it out loud and actually getting it in your hand after the fact.
So, but unless we do something, there'll be no further audits? These are awfully big contracts not to have audits.
Oh, I'm sure you're gonna have plenty of audits at the
So
school district level.
Who's gonna audit?
No idea.
But
Write your congressman.
are you
I
saying
don't know.
You're saying there is an audit or there isn't?
I have no clue.
Well,
You're asking the wrong person.
will there be an audit, independent audit by somebody who comes in and looks at the project we just finished and ascertains the cost against the invoices?
We'll have another operational audit like we just had, but it's just specific to each project, not to my knowledge.
I mean, that might be a question you could write or ask the Auditor General's office. I mean, because I'm sure there's statewide, that, I'm sure that's a concern for everybody. I don't know what the answer is.
We asked the other school district how they was audited after they built the school.
I don't think it's common anywhere, to be honest, but
Basically checking your books and see.
believe it or not, this body isn't common anywhere else.
Aren't we special?
You're right about that, yeah. I don't know, I'm now left with, I thought there was gonna be some audits, but now I guess there isn't gonna be. Unless we commission, unless.
We don't know that. I
Right.
think that's a
We don't have that
question
answer.
for, Jonathan Nash.
I'll add that to my Jonathan list.
Okay, by the way, audits, if you follow audits, you'll find most of them are superficial and they deal only with balancing the numbers. They don't deal with concepts that are flawed.
I've had state audits and they get in the weeds.
Yeah, but a couple of them with foundations now, and I find they miss all the big stuff and get all the little stuff right.
I've been burned by state audits.
I've got a couple of insurance companies I'd like for you to.
Yeah, they can audit you.
Oh, yeah.
All right, next meeting.
Will we
Oh,
get answer
I
that?
Nope.
I have one more thing to
Okay.
For the
point out.
minutes, will we put that in the minutes?
What?
Yeah, he wrote.
I don't do the minutes.
Tell us the audits.
No, he's got that question.
I'm
down.
gonna email Jonathan.
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
In the last couple of last couple meetings minutes, Jackie Porter is listed, but
Okay.
didn't she remove herself from the committee last December or January?
She's still on the committee. She's not here today because her mother fell.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I thought that was the thing, but I thought she,
No, she just removed herself from that school board race, that's all
Yeah, she
she.
quit running for school board.
She's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
she's on this committee.
I had one quick question. You
Yes.
were bringing up about the committee's life cycle, and did the school board decide what they're gonna do? Or?
No, sir.
Okay.
I advised them that
Because me being on a year difference, I just,
yeah, Tom said the indication is they want us to continue, but
That was before tonight.
But Thomas is right. This is a rare public oversight of a major set of operation and construction. It's a refreshing thing, actually.
it's sure been an education.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've learned some acronyms, that's for sure.
that's right.
Any other, next meeting. So,
Sorry, I have one more thing.
oh, sorry.
Can we not have our meetings canceled in the future?
Okay, so
The
I'll
meeting
address
for
that.
last week was canceled and then with no reason given and then rescheduled for this
So
week.
you email me directly, and under sunshine law, I cannot reply to you. So the reason and then Alice sent out the reason. The reason was we had asked for specific items from Jonathan that were not ready. There were really no true updates on the projects. The schools there's not a lot going on. We heard updates today, but they weren't substantial. So those two items did not constitute having a meeting, in my opinion, so I canceled the meeting.
You canceled it?
Yes.
Okay, that wasn't
The
stated in
the audit came
email.
out, and I saw 4 or 5 other emails that we needed to have a meeting, so we scheduled a meeting for tonight, and that's why we're meeting.
Okay.
And if
If-
I want to cancel a meeting in the future, I will send that out. But we need to schedule the next meeting. We heard the GMP for one might be the end of January, the other one's going to be probably March 1st.
I
So-
thought we had a meeting already scheduled for February the 18th,
I did too.
We did, that was,
but it's not been canceled. It's still on the books, isn't it?
we can keep it,
I mean,
that's where I had moved the next meeting to. So if we
Yeah.
want to keep it there, we can.
I don't think we need to meet in December, barring another article in the Daily News.
I can't handle a meeting till February.
Well,
It's way past my bad time. I know it's past Wayne's.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The only point though is, I would like to get, which I'm repeating myself now, I'd like to get the answers to some of these financial issues questioned before the next meeting. I don't want to.
Correct. So I'm gonna email Jonathan, everyone else email Alice. I will make a point to meet with Alice at some point. We will compile what we can and send it out ahead of time so it's fresh and not on February 17th or something like that.
Is it possible to do the second Wednesday instead of third Wednesdays?
Throw a date out there.
Just as long as Alice has it, we're all right.
What was the second the second Wednesday?
February 11th.
Thank you.
Wouldn't it be February the 10th? If it was the 17th, it'd be the 10th.
It's February 11th.
11th.
Is a Wednesday.
Okay.
I'm okay if y'all are.
I'm
Okay.
what's wrong with it?
All right, February 11th.
I live week to week.
You're like that.
I live
Where are you gonna be?
I said I live week to week.
I do minute to minute.
You do hour to hour, Chuck.
I think that's the week that we're Florida Association of Accountants, but that's all good.
Mr. Chairman, I do think it was essential that we reviewed the financials for the Horsemen's Club school.
I've loud and clear.
They had just come in and they were hot off the press, and we now have them, and I personally feel pretty good about it.
Good.
It's very important we go through that.
Good. All right, this meeting's adjourned.
Thank
There
you,
you
sir.
go.